Guten gardening, everybody. Well, it's time to open up our community garden once again. You can hear the tillers in the background. And as I came out here today, I noticed right away, I put up the fencing a couple of days ago, but the amount of fencing, the amount of lots that are getting put together has exponentially increased. And that's one of the cool things about the community garden spot. There's something in the neighborhood of 200 plus gardeners out here from all over the world, really, because this area has some pretty awesome diversity when it comes to the folks that are growing, especially in this garden spot. And so one of the things that I really love is watching this barren piece of land transform into a massive garden with such variety. Of course, we have a lot of the really common corn, tomatoes, peppers, but there's a ton of variety out here. And you know, I've got to get everything set up this season, make some decisions about what I want to be growing out here. I'm going to shift things a little bit this season. I'm still going to be growing a bunch of corn because that's the spot where we grow our corn. I'm still going to be growing some of our winter squash out here, but I want to try a few other things, including beans, green beans, bush beans this season, and maybe even one variety of potato. We'll see if I end up doing that. But so far what I've done today, in the limited amount of time, as I said, I've already got the fencing up. I went ahead and tilled everything in after adding some fertilizer based on the soil report that we got this season. I went ahead and added some fertilizer. I've tilled everything up, and now I've got to go ahead and cover this area with plastic. Because one of the things you notice as I show you the area before I tilled it, there's already some weeds coming up. And I'm going to show you the plot next door really quickly to show you just how many weeds really grow in this area. It is a massive problem if you're not out here weeding regularly or taking care of this plot regularly. And you know that we have so much growing at our home that we end up not spending as much time out here maybe as we would like. So what that obviously means for us is we need to take care of the weed problem before it really gets to become a problem. And so what we did last season was to put down some black plastic, and that black plastic did a really nice job for us keeping the weed problem down last season. So I'm going to do that again this season, and I was able to save a couple of pieces from last season, so we'll put that down as well. It's pretty dirty stuff in here, but it's already got holes cut in it for the winter squash that I had growing last season, so it's something I'm definitely going to be able to use. And one of the nice things about growing here in consecutive years, and we found this to be the case when we were down in Pennsylvania and we saw the community garden down there, but we've been able to keep the same plot of land, the same area here, these two same plots here. And what that means is we know what's grown in here each season. And so I know I've used nothing but organic fertilizer. I've used organic practices as I've been growing in here. And since I've grown corn on this side the last couple of years, I'm just going to rotate over to corn on this side. And I've got the corn in this bag, and I'm going to show you what it is now, even though I'm not going to be planting it quite yet because I got to get the plastic put down. But I ended up with two different hybrid varieties this season. I've got a Honey Select Triple Sweet Hybrid, which is a yellow corn, and then an Avalon Triple Sweet Hybrid, which is a white corn. And they're pretty close. One's 79 days, the other's 82 days. I got a couple bags of each of these. These are both SESH2, so I know I can grow them together. So easy to put down with these garden staples. Keep it in place. You can see the difference between the year-old plastic and the new, but only one more row to go. And I'll be planting my corn a little bit later, I think. All right, I've got all of my plastic down, but I've got to get out of here for the day. So I'm going to talk about some of the elements of this once I get home. Well, as I said, I needed to get home for a couple of reasons, but you know, it felt really good to be out there in the sun getting work done. It's about 70 degrees today, and the sun beats down on you there at the community garden. It's one of the reasons why I like to get out there early in the morning to get work done, because you can get dehydrated, you can get a little too much heat pretty quickly. One of the other reasons that I like to get out there early is because there are typically fewer people. You know, when I'm recording a video, I don't really want my voice and my conversation to be all over the place, interrupting whatever it is that they're doing, whatever it is that they're planting. So I try to be considerate of other people and not talk too much, and not to interfere with what they're doing. But it is wonderful to have that gardening space opening back up again. I am going to do basically the same thing for my corn that I did last year. We were nice and successful with the corn, using the plastic to really keep the weeds down. I honestly think that this method has a lot of potential for us. I'm going to do a little bit better job poking a few more holes in the plastic throughout to make sure that the water can sink in, instead of, we had a little bit of an issue with it ponding or puddling on top. And I don't want that to happen again this season. So that's one of the things that I want to change. I'm going to add again some more holes. That's really easy to do, pitchfork or whatever I want to use. In terms of what we're planting, last season I grew quite a bit of winter squash. I'm going to do some more of that, as I said earlier in the video. I do want to add a good bit more variety, if possible, this season to the types of vegetables we're growing out there. As I think about the last couple of years and just how beneficial that community garden space has been for us, we spend $70 for a whole season of growing. We have over 1,000 square feet of space. And I have made the recommendation before, but if you have a limited growing space like we do, an allotment or a community garden plot can be an incredible expansion. It's so funny, I almost forgot to mention this, but one of the cool things about this community garden spot is you never know what you're gonna find or have opportunity to get for free. They grow garlic there. If you want garlic, you can get a bit of garlic at the end of the garlic season if you want to harvest it. I have my own garlic right here. You've got all the fencing that we've gotten so far has been free fencing from there. But this was around this time, there was a ton, hundreds of seeds available. I just picked a couple of them. I'm actually going to grow some of these bush beans. I got a couple of different varieties of bush beans. I'm going to grow some of these bush beans there this season. I also thought that this strawberry crown squash looked amazing. I've never grown it before, so I'm going to try that. And some spinach down there, just some things that I normally grow. Look at this. Oh, it looks like the bag here is split a little bit on the parsnips, but why were they there? That's a great question. It says they're $2.99 a piece, but here's the reason why I think they were giving them away for free. They're packaged for 2024 to sell by the end of last season. But you can't tell me that a couple months later and these aren't going to still be really, really good seeds. I also really like spaghetti squash. So anyway, just another benefit, at least at our community garden, is again, you never know what you're going to find. I've gotten onion plants from there in the past, tomato plants, all kinds of good stuff. Well, I'm going to get back out once the sun goes down and get my corn planted. I have my winter squash, get some beans and stuff like that. I want to get over there ASAP. We had to wait an extra couple of days because of rain before the garden opened, but that's all right. Everything's in full swing now, and we'll get that all planted. Now, I do want to mention something before I end today's video. The Greenstock Mother's Day sale ends on the 15th of May. A fantastic sale going on now, their biggest sale of the year. If you haven't already gotten a hold of a Greenstock and it's something you're interested in, now's a great time to buy. Remember, you can use our link and code Guten for an additional $10 off. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video today. I'm excited to open up the community garden, and I hope you're ready to join us as we grow both here and there. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, you're with us, you are good to grow.